Alright everyone, this is T-Rex. This is revision 2 or practice session 2 of the breaking chains. We've already prayed, so we're ready to get started with our practice session. And I'm talking louder because last time I sounded like I was mumbling, and if anybody knows me well, I don't mumble. Or if I do, I still talk loud, even if I'm mumbling. Anyway, we'll get started. What you see here is a neck harness. Of course, when you have on a neck harness, what are you probably going to use to pick up something with? Your neck and your head, right? Right, very good. Now what you'll see here is I have 3 colored chains on this neck harness. I'll get a little closer to the camera so you can see, since there's not a real audience except for my lovely wife. But anyway, you see first we have a yellow chain. Now, what does yellow represent sometimes? Sometimes yellow represents cowardice, chicken, you know, things like that. Some of us have probably been called chicken before. Anyway, what we're going to represent this, what we're going to let this represent is not a chicken, but something similar. Doubt. Specifically, doubting in yourself and doubting that God made something good when He made you. So first we're starting off with doubt. When we doubt that we're any good, we see other people and we might get what? We might get green with envy. Correct. Very good. So green represents envy, jealousy, things of that nature. Alright? We doubt ourselves, we doubt that God made us good, we get jealous and envious, and then what does that turn into? We get red with anger, red with hatred. Maybe we hate ourselves, maybe we hate somebody else for having more than we do. Maybe we hate that God did not make us like we thought we should be made. So there you go. We've got doubt, jealousy, and anger. Now, these 3 together are pretty bad. They could cause a lot of trouble in our lives. But you know what the really bad part about them is? When we have any of these 3 in our lives, or all 3, doesn't matter, they always bring more trouble. They always bring more stuff with them. And we're going to discuss that in a moment. You see, as I said before, this is a neck harness. We lift things with our neck. But in our little illustration here, this neck harness actually represents my life and yours. Okay? As you see, these bonds or chains have been connected to our lives because we believe the lies of the enemy. And again, just to review, we've got doubt, we've got jealousy, we've got anger. And as I said before, we believe the lies of the enemy. You said, now what could that be? Well, let's see. First of all, he tells us that God makes losers. Let me tell you what, God doesn't make losers. You are all very special. You are all very precious in His sight. We'll talk about that momentarily. The other lie is that God doesn't love us. First we said God makes losers. That's one lie the enemy tells us. The other is that God doesn't love us. Nothing could be further from the truth. But as you will see, these 3 things lead to many, many more disappointing cycles, disappointing things. If you look here next to my neck harness and contraptions, you'll see this is a 45-pound weight plate. Normally this is used for weightlifting, but for our purposes, this will be one of many results from these 3 bonds that we have got around our lives. Now, because of these 3 things, I have now become jealous and angry. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start lying. I'm going to start lying to make myself sound cooler. I'm even going to lie about some of my friends to make myself look better. Maybe to my teachers, maybe to my parents, maybe to some friends of mine, some other friends, you know. So now, I've been weighed down with lying. And you know, once you tell one lie, it's hard to get out of that. You have to keep covering up one lie with another. And look, you can see, I can move around, but this sure is beating me up. Hitting my toes, hitting my shins. These lies just aren't any good. So, first I started with lying. What am I going to do next? You may ask yourself. Well, it doesn't get better, let me tell you. I'm going from lying to another big one that we see in our schools and even as we get older. I'm going to decide to start bullying someone else. Someone that I see as weaker than myself. Now let me tell y'all something. A bully is not big and strong. Deep inside, a bully is just a coward. A bully is just a loser. You know why? Because if they really felt good about themselves, they wouldn't be picking on somebody else. Because what we're supposed to do is we're not supposed to pick on other people. We're not supposed to bully. We're supposed to help other people. That's why God put us on this earth. To help other people that don't have some of the advantages that we have. Okay? But after I got bound by these three things, I added lying to my repertoire, and now I'm bullying. You see? I still walk around, but man, it's getting tough. This is another 45 pounds added to my harness, added to my life. This just ain't going to work. I don't know what we're going to do, folks. But I'll tell you one thing. This is my story. Did I stop here? Did I get free? Oh, no. All this stuff I'm talking about now, that started when I was maybe elementary and probably into middle school. Okay? That's when all of these type of things were going on. And as I understand it, this happens quicker and quicker as we go along in time. So I'm not just bullying anymore. I'm not just, maybe cursing, saying bad words, and you know what those bad words are. I'm not gonna say them, of course. But what else I did besides bullying, I started saying bad words because I thought that made me sound cooler and more grown up. Let me tell you, when you say bad words like that, it doesn't make you sound cool. It makes you sound like all the people on TV that say those bad words. It makes you sound like all of the other people that do that because they think it makes them cool. You know, you're in the same category as the bullies when you say those kind of words. Okay? And I'm not calling names on anybody. I'm just letting you know how it is. But you see, folks, this looks like only 10 pounds, but this is the camel that broke, this is the straw that broke the camel's back. This is when I got into my late teens and early 20s. Do y'all know what I did? I started messing with drugs, messing with alcohol, messing with unspeakable things that I won't even tell you about. And you know why? It all started because I got bound in these three things right here. Then I would talk about my friends. I would maybe lie to make myself sound better. I'd be jealous of others. And all it did was take me down a big spiraling path. Now I've got all these things in my life. I've complicated it, made it worse. You know, the devil's lies told me it was going to get better. Well, look, let me show y'all something. While I've been talking to y'all, I started out with an empty piece of pipe here. But now I've got at least 100 pounds hanging from my neck. Now I can pick it up. I can walk around a little bit. But it's not very comfortable. And I can't do this very long. So you know what I had to do? I had to find a way. I had to find a way to get free. You know what I had to do? I had to start believing the truth that God told me. You see, before I was believing the lies of the enemy. That God makes losers and that God doesn't love me. But let me tell you something. In Psalm 139, God tells us that there are more precious thoughts about each one of you, about me, about my wife, than there are sands in the sea. You know what? I don't necessarily like being called precious. But my wife does that just to tease me a little bit, and it's okay. But you know what? God has so many precious thoughts about each one of you, about everybody in this room, even everybody around the world, that they cannot be numbered. Okay, so that dispels lie one. Lie 2 says that God doesn't love us. But let me tell y'all something. In Jeremiah 29:11, God tells us in His Word that He did not make plans for our disaster. He never wanted to destroy us. He never wanted us to come down a path like this with all this hanging down on our lives, pulling us down. God's got a future and a hope for you. That's exactly what it says in His Word. So you know what? God does love you. And God wants you to have a future and a hope. He wants you to be free. He wants you to do the good things He has made you to do. Well, you know what? I'm still bound. That don't look like I have much hope right here. I don't know what I'm going to do. And y'all, I'm telling you, it might sound funny, it might look silly right now, but this is my real life. This is what happened to me. So you know what I had to do? I'll show you how I did it. It went something like this. I had to get down on one knee, and I had to say, God, I don't only want you, I have to have you. I need you, or I'm never going to be free of this. You know, and some folks get to this position I was in, they don't go for God, you know what happens? It leads them to more things like this. It leads them to drugs, to alcohol, in excess, even more. It may lead some of them to suicide or an early death. And you know what else? It doesn't just affect us. It affects all those around us that care about us. So not only was I dragging myself down, I was dragging my family down. I was dragging my future down because I didn't believe what God had for me was good enough. I was believing the lies of the enemy. But I found out when I went down on that knee and started praying, it was brought to my memory that the only way that I can be saved, the only way that I can be free is through Jesus Christ, God's Son. And it tells us in Acts 4:12 that Jesus is the only way, the only name under heaven that can save us. So you know what I did? As I was praying to God, I said, Jesus, I do believe you died for me. I do believe you have plans for my future, plans for my good, and I believe you want me to be successful and to be the right man I'm supposed to be in this life. Please forgive me. Please make me that man you want me to be. And let me show y'all what happened. After I prayed, after I started seeking the Lord, I was still bound up by that stuff. But you know what God did? He gave me the power to be free. Just like that. No more bonds. No more chains. Nothing holding me back anymore. You see? All that anger. All that envy. Oh, even down here. Oh, look, it's all falling apart. You know why? The enemy's lies don't stay together if we believe what God says. So if you believe what God says about you, don't believe the lies of the enemy anymore. Choose to be free today. Thank you.